Yeah, so transparency has, for me, two key elements. There's the client aspect, who you work with and do business with every day, but then there's also the transparency of the data of the consumers that you're targeting and want to interact with. On the client side, it's very important to be open and honest because there's a lot of people in this industry, especially location data, that claim to be all things to all people. And if you're an agency rep or you're working for a client direct on a brand team or on a shopper team, how do you know who the right person is to deal with because everyone claims to be the best at what they do? So we try to be very open and honest about what our capabilities are. And in this market, because it's so inclusive and everyone's so friendly, if you don't have the right capability, you can reach out to someone that you know and hook them up, and in order to make it a much more kind of community feel. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to work with Supplier Community as well, is that you really bring everyone together and you bring a lot of skill set and knowledge base together into one place, which is invaluable for people. So for us, it's about being open and transparent. The data side of it for clients is very key because there's a lot of inaccurate data out there in the marketplace. And having done this for 15 years, we have found ways to help eradicate that. So we only use about 20% of the data that we get offered, just to be as open and transparent as possible. That means 80% of the data does not pass our validation tool. And that's really important for the people that are buying this data and paying these companies to do this. You need to be as probing and as open about what your needs are as a consumer, because you're the consumer in this instance. So probe your vendors, ask them about where their data comes from, understand what their validation tools are. And it'll be quite eye-opening, I think, once those questions get asked, because once those questions get asked, it will force more companies to be transparent about that. And that's something that I think is extremely, extremely important in 2019 and where we are at the current state of the market. The second part to transparency for me is transparency of the data of the people that you're targeting. So shoppers have a right to data privacy, and that's become a really hot topic in the past few years. It kind of began in Europe with GDPR regulations, and that for us is a really, really important piece, because not only are you protecting the data of the shoppers and the people that you want to interact with, but you're also adding brand safety to the people that you work with on a daily basis. And this legislation coming out of Europe, it isn't just a slap on the wrist type of situation. If you're seen to be in breach of that, then there are serious, serious penalties. And for us, because we're a UK-based company, that means that we have to abide by those on a global scale. So we're in a really good position to protect the brand safety of our clients, but also to educate other people on the importance of brand safety of the general public. The other thing that is worth pointing out is that we're now starting to see it in the US market. So yeah, CCPA in California is now becoming a much more hot topic and prevalent. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to move throughout the US. I think people in the US, the general public, are starting to become much more informed. I read a statistic that 80% of people now understand or have some knowledge of the fact that their data is being used by marketing companies, and that's only going to grow as this topic becomes more prevalent in the press and people start talking about it. So it's understanding the transparency element of that as well. So abide by the regulations and legislation that's in place and just be the best provider that you can be. Understand that the brands that you work with, they're putting their reputation on the line every time that there's a communication that goes out with their logo or their messaging on it. And what you want to do is you want to create relationships with your shoppers, and you don't want to upset or annoy them. So understanding that as a vendor is very, very key, especially with location data, because it can be a little bit invasive. You know, you understand a lot about their lives. Now, it's all anonymized through PPI. You know, we use device IDs. We don't know their name or anything like that. We're very, very strict with that. But at the same time, find connections with people in a valid and legitimate way while still abiding by the very important regulations that are there in terms of data privacy and transparency with your clients and with shoppers in general as well.